Hello, everyone. This is Saheed, and I'm super glad to have you back on InfoCompass 360, your favorite channel when it comes to migration abroad, infotainment, classic shows, healthy lifestyles, among others. Don't forget to like and share our videos, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notifications so you have all our videos as they're being released. So, what are we looking at today? We're discussing about internationally trained engineers, how you can get things down to business when it comes to migration to Canada. So basically, for internationally trained engineers, to become an engineer practicing in Canada, you would have to get on this website, which is the engineerscanada.ca. So if you're a graduate of engineering program from outside of Canada, your career plans, including becoming an engineer in Canada, you would have to visit the Engineer Here website, which is where everything that you do need for this whole process is located. So getting started, you would have to go to the part that says practicing engineering in Canada. And definitely for you to be able to practice as an engineer in Canada, you would have to be licensed. So, and that would be by one of the Canadian provincial or territorial engineering regulators. However, actually, you can still work in the engineering field, but you wouldn't have the opportunity to be able to work independently. So you wouldn't be able to work independently. So you would have to be supervised kind of by licensed engineers. So as long as you're supervised by licensed you're engineers, covered. And this is the person that actually takes professional responsibility for everything that you do. Basically, there are various engineering regulators across the country, and that would have to look at shortly. So when it comes to engineers in training and those that are already licensed, so an engineer in training in Canada this is the status that indicates the first step that you do have to take in getting licensed in Canada, and this is something that you must have completed by satisfying the education requirements and meeting the character requirements as well, so which is pretty much important. So licensed engineers, however, means these are people that are already licensed to practice professional engineering in their area of expertise, and they take full responsibility for the work that they do. So you do not actually need to be a Canadian citizen or being a permanent resident of Canada to become a licensed engineer. However, your status might affect the type of license you're eligible to obtain, be it professional engineer or limited license engineer, as the case may be. I'm talking about the engineering regulators across the country. So we've got regulators depending on the province that you want to move to in the country, which we've got 10 provinces and 3 territories. So depending on which one you're moving to, will determine the one that you would actually have to, focus on when it. You can see typical examples: the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of Alberta, and that is the APEGA, and it goes on to the very last one, which is the Professional Engineers Ontario, the PEO. So it all depends on which province or territory you want to migrate to. That will determine the actual regulators that you would have to talk to eventually when it comes to the regulation. So in 5 steps, talking about the requirements for this whole process. So we're talking about your academics, your work experience, your language, as well as your good character and professionalism and ethics. So these are the 5 things that really count towards you being about getting the license. So to determine if your engineering education really meets the academic requirements for licensure in Canada, you would need to contact the engineering regulator in the province where you would like to work. So what you will need to have in terms of your education being evaluated and the documents that are required, all of this, you can find out all the details right here. And when it comes to the application itself, this is where you would do that. This is the link for you to get done with your application. So you would have to go to the territory, like we said, and of course, you would have to have met the 5 requirements that were really listed early on. And that is strict combination of documents, assessment, interviews, and all testing, required, depending on what's required where. So you may be able to start your processing before coming to Canada, actually. And the documents you will be asked to provide can vary depending on which territory or province that you're moving to, or you're planning to apply for the licensure. So, in terms of the academic assessment, so you might be required to submit stuff such as your degrees, transcripts, certificates, and stuff like that. Work experience, basically, you would have to demonstrate you've applied your engineering education through engineering work for a specified amount of time. And in terms of the language proficiency, so you would have to also demonstrate the language competencies that you have in terms of English or French. And basically, in the Quebec region of Canada, which is the province predominantly French, French is required, whereas province like New Brunswick, either French or English would be acceptable. Otherwise, in all other provinces, English is required. In terms of the character assessment, you will need to provide evidence to indicate that you have observed values of truth, honesty, and trustworthiness, as well as the professional practice examination, which you would have to take. And that is an exam that, tests your knowledge of ethics and Canadian law as it relates to engineering, including contracts, patents, trademark, and copyright laws. So if you successfully complete all of these steps and the regulator deems that you have met the standard required of license holders in that particular province. So what it means is that the regulator will contact you with the necessary information on how to finalize the registration process so you can practice engineering in their own jurisdiction, in that province particularly, and you will be able to call yourself an engineer ultimately. So in terms of the working in engineering field in Canada, so in Canada, engineers are recognized by employers, peers, and society alike for their character, ethics, and quality of the work that they do. So before you start, there are key things that you need to know, which are really two of them. So your qualification may not be immediately recognized, but you can still do engineering work as long as you're supervised by a licensed engineer who takes full responsibility for everything that you're doing. So also, you will need to be able to communicate in either English or French. So moving away from that one, so talking about the skills and the job. So in terms of the skills and job, so there are two important considerations when looking at the work as an engineer in Canada. So your type of engineering and skills, as well as the location best suited to the type of engineering job that you want to do. So you can check those out and see what really fits your own experience best. In terms of finding a job, you can always go on the various links and the government job website as we have them here. So we got the GC jobs, job fairs. There are also recruitment agencies that are doing some recruitment as well as bridging programs, among others. So you can find all of those there. And when it comes to applying for a job, you basically would need several similar documents when applying for jobs in Canada. They include your resume, which is usually known as the CV, and a cover letter. So during your application, usually you would have to have an interview. So some employers may ask for some academic documents and all references. So it depends on what they really want at that workplace. And in terms of the tips that you would need for employment, in addition to your visiting the employment website, there are also other things that you really need to do while looking for engineering jobs in Canada. Two of those best ways to do that is through networking and volunteering. So networking really, it's an highly effective way to learn about your field and also advance your career in the process. So this is something you want to look at. Also, volunteering, which is an unpaid job, So organizations within the engineering profession would sometimes have opportunities that allow you to be able to volunteer with them. And that is for you to be able to gain valuable work experience and build your own network. And in the process, be able to secure a job as well. So finally, when it comes to the Canadian workplace, generally Canada is a diverse, country where people of all races, ethnicities, genders, and religions really respect each other when it comes to work. Before you plan to migrate to Canada, it's so important to understand what to expect in terms of the Canadian workplace so you can work effectively and successfully with others. So you can read those up and check them out on this website, and that would be something that you want to look at in terms of the workplace cultures and behaviors, the multiculturalism, as well as the religious freedom, equal opportunities for men and women, among other information that you have right there that you can always look at. And basically, that brings us to the end of this review today of information for internationally trained engineers to migrate to Canada. I do hope this video has really helped you. That is the case, like and share our videos and share with loved ones and also colleagues. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel at InfoCompass 360 and also turn on the notifications so you have all our new videos as they've been released. Until some other time I come your way again, this is Saheed signing out and I say thank you very much for your rapt attention and I'll catch you again shortly. Thank you very much and bye bye.